Stop. Right now someone is taking what you want. While you hesitate, they act. While you feel, they calculate. While you react, they control. And the difference between you and them? One rule. Machiavelli buried this rule in plain sight. Most people read his words and miss it completely. They think he wrote about politics, about war, about manipulation. He didn't. He wrote about you, about the war inside your own mind, about the one enemy you'll never escape, yourself. By the end of this video, you'll know the exact protocol that turns ordinary people into forces of nature. But here's the catch. Most of you won't use it, because it requires something most people refuse to give. Let's find out if you're different. Here's what nobody tells you about power. It's not about controlling others, that's the amateur's game. Real power is invisible. It happens in the 2 seconds before you speak, in the moment you feel anger, but choose silence, in the gap between wanting something and chasing it like a dog. Machiavelli watched empires fall, not because of armies, not because of money, but because rulers couldn't control the one thing that mattered, their own impulses. Think about your last failure, your last regret, your last moment of weakness. I'll bet you anything it wasn't the situation that defeated you, it was your reaction to it. The strongest prison is the one you build with your emotions. And most people die without ever realizing they had the key the whole time. Protocol Step 1, the 10-second rule. Here's the first test. Can you wait 10 seconds before responding to anything? Not 10 minutes, not tomorrow, 10 seconds. Most people can't. Their ego needs to be heard. Their anger demands release. Their fear screams for comfort. But here's what happens in those 10 seconds. Your enemy reveals more than you ever could. The room shows you who holds real power. Opportunities appear that rushing would destroy. Your mind separates signal from noise. Machiavelli knew this. He wrote, "The wise man does nothing in haste, for time reveals what aggression conceals." Try it today. Next time someone insults you, wait, count to 10. Watch what they do with your silence. Watch how uncomfortable they become. Watch how power shifts without you saying a single word. Silence isn't emptiness, it's compression. You're not doing nothing, you're doing everything internally. Your mind is processing, your emotions are settling, your strategy is forming. While they're still talking, you're already 3 moves ahead. Think about the last argument you had, the moment you snapped back. That instant response felt powerful, didn't it? It felt like strength. But it wasn't. It was weakness disguised as action. Because the moment you react, you've given control to the other person. They pulled your strings and you danced. The 10-second rule breaks that pattern. It creates space between stimulus and response, and in that space you become dangerous, not because you're planning some elaborate revenge, but because you're no longer predictable, and unpredictability is the language of power. Here's what most people don't understand. When you delay your response, you're not just controlling yourself, you're controlling them. Their mind starts racing. What are you thinking? Why aren't you reacting? Did I go too far? Are you planning something? That uncertainty. That's power transferring from them to you. Now here's where it gets dangerous. Because once you master this, you'll see something horrifying. 95% of people are completely predictable. They're running scripts. And if you can see the script, you can write the ending. But first, you need the second protocol. Protocol Step 2. Emotional inventory. Every night before sleep, ask 3 questions. What made me react today? Not act. React. There's a difference. Action is deliberate. Reaction is automatic. When did you lose control today, even for a second? Write it down. Second question. What was I afraid to say? The thing you swallowed, the truth you edited, the boundary you didn't set. That silence wasn't strength, it was fear. And fear that goes unexamined turns into chronic weakness. Third question. Who controlled my emotional state? If the answer is anyone but you, you lost that day. Someone cut you off in traffic and you stayed angry for an hour. They controlled you. Someone criticized your work and you couldn't focus the rest of the day. They controlled you. Your worth was in someone else's hands and they didn't even know it. This is brutal. Most people lie to themselves here. They say I'm fine when they're not. They say it doesn't bother me when it does. They rationalize, they justify, they avoid, But Machiavelli's protocol demands truth, ruthless, surgical truth. Here's why this matters. Every unexamined emotion is a backdoor into your mind. Your enemy doesn't need to fight you if they can trigger you. One insult, one rejection, one moment of doubt, and you implode. The man who cannot name his weaknesses will be destroyed by them. So you catalog them, every single one, not to feel bad about yourself, but to remove the element of surprise. You can't be manipulated by fear if you've already mapped every fear you have. You can't be controlled by anger if you understand exactly what triggers it. Real story. Machiavelli was once tortured, physically broken. And you know what he did afterward? He wrote. He analyzed his own pain like a scientist. He turned suffering into data. That's the protocol. Everything is information, even your weakness. Especially your weakness. Most people run from their pain. They distract themselves, scroll their phones, binge-watch shows, anything to avoid sitting with discomfort. But that avoidance creates a blind spot. And your enemies, whether that's other people or just bad circumstances, they attack through blind spots. The emotional inventory closes those gaps. It forces you to look at what you'd rather ignore. And yes, it's uncomfortable. Some nights you'll write things that make you cringe, moments where you were petty, jealous, weak, afraid, good. Write it all down, because the moment you acknowledge it, it loses power over you. Stop for a second. If you're still watching, you're not like most people. Most clicked away when I said protocol. They want hacks, quick fixes, magic pills. But you're different. You understand that real power is built in the dark. So let me show you the darkest part. Protocol Step 3. Strategic invisibility. This is where most motivational content lies to you. They say, be visible, show up, announce your goals, share your journey, post your progress. Wrong, dead wrong. The wolf doesn't announce its hunt. The storm doesn't send a warning. Power moves in silence until it doesn't need to. Here's the protocol. For the next 90 days, tell no one what you're building. Not your friends, not your family, not social media. Work in complete silence. Why? 3 reasons. First, every time you announce a goal, your brain releases dopamine. It feels like you accomplished something. You didn't, you just talked about it. Your brain can't tell the difference between doing and announcing, so it gives you the reward before you've earned it. And that kills your motivation. Second, people will sabotage you, not out of malice, out of fear. Your transformation reminds them of their stagnation. When you start changing, you hold up a mirror to their lack of change, and they don't like what they see, so they'll discourage you. They'll call you obsessed, they'll say you're changing, and they're right, you are changing, that's the point. Third, invisibility is your greatest weapon. When people can't see your moves, they can't counter them, they can't prepare, they can't compete, they can't even comprehend what you're doing until it's done. By the time they notice, the gap is so wide they never catch up. Machiavelli wrote, never let your enemies see the fortress until after it's built. So build in the shadows. Let them underestimate you. Let them think you're still the old version. And when you emerge, make sure the distance between who you were and who you became is undeniable. Think about every major success story you know. The ones that seem to come out of nowhere. That artist who suddenly blows up. That entrepreneur who appears overnight. That person who goes from average to exceptional. It looks sudden to everyone else. But it wasn't sudden. They were building in silence for months, years. While everyone else was posting about their dreams, these people were executing theirs. Strategic invisibility does something else too. It protects your energy. Every time you explain your vision to someone, you drain a little bit of it. Every time you defend your choices, you waste mental resources. Every time you try to convince someone of your path, you're borrowing certainty from yourself to give to them. Stop doing that. Your work should speak. Your results should announce. Your transformation should shock. Everything else is noise. But here's the problem most people hit. They master control. They work in silence. They build power, and then they hesitate. They get soft. They confuse kindness with strategy. That's when they lose everything. Which brings us to the final protocol, the one that separates players from winners. Protocol Step 4. Calculated ruthlessness. Listen carefully. There will come a moment when you need to cut something off. A relationship, a habit, a comfortable lie you've been telling yourself. Most people hesitate. They drag it out. They hope it fixes itself. It won't. Machiavelli's protocol is clear. Act swiftly when the moment demands it. Mercy that prolongs suffering is not mercy at all. This doesn't mean be cruel for fun. It means be surgical when necessary. Here's the test right now. What's draining you? What person, what habit, what story keeps you stuck? You know what it is. You've known for months, maybe years. The protocol says end it today, not tomorrow, not next week. Today, cut clean, no drama, no explanation tour. No apology for choosing yourself. Why? Because every day you delay is a day your enemy gains ground. And your biggest enemy is the version of you that refuses to evolve. That part of you that clings to comfort, that stays in situations because they're familiar, that keeps people around because you've known them for years even though they add nothing to your life. Machiavelli watched princes lose kingdoms because they couldn't make hard choices. They wanted to be loved more than they wanted to win. You have to choose. You can't have both. Not always. Not when it matters. Here's what calculated ruthlessness looks like in practice. You have a friend who only calls when they need something. You've noticed the pattern. They take but never give. The old you would tolerate it, make excuses, say that's just how they are. The protocol version of you cuts them off. No anger, no announcement, you just stop being available. And when they ask why you're distant, you don't explain. You don't owe anyone access to you. You have a habit that's destroying your progress. Staying up late scrolling, drinking too much on weekends, saying yes when you mean no. The protocol doesn't negotiate with these patterns. It eliminates them. You don't gradually reduce. You don't try to moderate. You execute a full stop. You have a belief about yourself that no longer serves you. I'm not good with money. I'm not a morning person. I'm not the type who works out. The protocol recognizes these as stories, not facts. And stories can be rewritten. But first, the old story has to die. And you're the one who has to kill it. This is where most people fail. They want transformation without death. They want the new version without executing the old one. Doesn't work that way. Every level up requires something to be left behind. Every evolution demands a sacrifice. The question is whether you're willing to make it. Now here's how it all connects. The 10-second rule teaches you control. Emotional inventory teaches you awareness. Strategic invisibility teaches you patience. Calculated ruthlessness teaches you execution. Together they form the protocol. And here's what happens when you run this protocol daily. You stop reacting to provocations. You see patterns others miss. You build while others talk. You act while others hesitate. You win while others wonder what happened. But most importantly, you become unreadable. People can't manipulate what they can't predict. They can't defeat what they can't understand. They can't stop what they never saw coming. You become a force of nature disguised as a person. Think about what this looks like in real life. Someone tries to provoke you at work. They make a snide comment in a meeting. Old you would have fired back. Protocol you waits 10 seconds. Smiles. Says nothing or responds with something completely unexpected. They're confused. Their script broke. They don't know what to do with your calm. You just won without engaging. You're working on a project, a big one, something that could change your life. Everyone around you is posting their side hustles, their progress, their plans. You say nothing. You work in silence. 6 months later, you launch. It's polished. It's professional. It's undeniable. People ask, when did you do this? You just smile. You've been building while they were announcing. You realize a relationship is toxic. Maybe it's romantic. Maybe it's a business partner. Maybe it's family. Doesn't matter. The protocol doesn't distinguish based on category. It only asks one question. Is this person adding to or subtracting from your ability to execute your vision? If the answer is subtracting, you know what to do, and you do it without guilt, because loyalty to your future self outweighs loyalty to comfort. So here's my challenge to you. For the next 30 days, run the Machiavelli Protocol. Wait 10 seconds before any reaction. Journal your emotional inventory every night. Tell absolutely no one what you're building. Cut one thing that's been draining you. That's it. 4 rules. 30 days. But I already know what most of you will do. You'll watch this video, feel motivated, and change nothing. Why? Because the protocol is uncomfortable. It requires you to sit with silence, to face your weakness, to be invisible when you crave validation, to be ruthless when you want to be nice. Most people aren't willing to pay that price, but if you are, if you actually run this protocol, everything changes. Not because of magic, because you'll finally stop being your own enemy. Think about that. Your biggest obstacle isn't bad luck, isn't other people, isn't circumstances, it's you. The version of you that reacts instead of responds, that announces instead of builds, that tolerates instead of eliminates. That version is killing your potential every single day. The protocol is the execution method. It's how you eliminate that version and replace it with something stronger, something that actually gets results. Machiavelli never promised you'd be loved. He promised you'd be effective, powerful, free from the chaos of emotion and the prison of other people's opinions. The protocol is simple, but simple doesn't mean easy. So decide right now, are you going to be another person who watches and forgets? Or are you going to be the one who actually transforms? The choice was always yours. The protocol just makes it visible. Run it or don't, but don't lie to yourself about why you're still stuck. Don't blame circumstances. Don't blame other people. Don't blame timing. If you're not where you want to be, it's because you haven't executed the protocol. You haven't controlled yourself. You haven't built in silence. You haven't cut off what's draining you. Now go. And remember, power isn't given. It's taken. But first, you have to take it from yourself. The protocol is active. The question is, are you? If you're ready to take these strategies beyond theory, check the pinned comment. The link I left there is the next step to becoming truly untouchable.